Here are the 4 comic version Hasbro Doctor Strange figures that we've gotten so far. The first one is from the Hulkbuster BAF wave. Second is from the Vishanti box set. Third is from the Dormammu BAF wave. And the last one is the recent Walmart exclusive classic version of Doctor Strange. All of them come with the same accessories except for the new classic Strange, which has more than just the pair of effects. He has this same pair of hands but with an alternate right gripping hand and left fist, 2 other alternate heads and these 2 weapons. Here are the 4 different colors of the effect: green, silver, orange, and a lighter orange with darker orange at the edges. You can see the difference in the shade of orange and also the darker orange, almost reddish at the sharper ends of this new effect. Here's the X from the new figure. It really has good sculpt on the X itself and it has black wash along the grooves of the sculpt. Here's the bottom of the handle, also has some sculpt to it. Here's the Wand of Watum. Is that how you pronounce it? It has kind of a brown outline on the sculpt, on these diamond parts, and also this kind of like face looking sculpt. Here's the alternate gripping hand to hold those 2 weapons and an alternate fist, just in case Doctor Strange need to punch someone. And we have these 2 alternate heads. This one is him with his eyes closed, probably while conjuring a spell. This one I think is a reuse of Silver Surfer's head. I'm not really sure the history behind this blue head, whether it's an alternate version of him or was it a short storyline where he was wearing a mask. I think the first one over here from the Hulkbuster wave is one when he wasn't the Sorcerer Supreme. That's why he doesn't have the Eye of Agamotto. These 2 are on the same exact body mold, except that this one is on translucent plastic, and this one is when he became the Sorcerer Supreme again. That's why he has the cloak. And one more difference between these 2 figures is that here you have the sculpt at the forearm, but for this one, there isn't. The Astral version has the same forearm as the one from Hulkbuster. The design between these 2 is also similar, having the black line in the middle of the red line at the center of the torso. There. But for this Strange, the red is solid with no black gaps at the center of it. The cape is removable for this one. You just need to remove the head and take off the cape. The gold is painted quite well on the cloak. You can see that the Eye of Agamotto is painted quite decently and the edges of the gold is painted quite well. Except at the back here, there is a slight blotch over there. But other than that, decently painted. And between these 2, the shade of red is slightly different. The Hulkbuster version has a slightly darker red than the other one. The moustache is also slightly different. This one is a continuous black, but for the other one, there is a gap below the nose. And the white hair is significantly lesser for the Dormammu Doctor Strange. The back of the Dormammu Strange also has a hole, but I don't know why it has a hole because the cape doesn't have the pack. Here's how the Hulkbuster Doctor Strange looks like with the cape. The red doesn't really match because the figure itself has a darker red than the cape. And for the Astral Strange, the moustache has a gap below the nose, just like the Dormammu wave Doctor Strange. The figure also doesn't have the hole at the back. You can see all the sculpt within the figure from the back. And finally, here's the new Doctor Strange figure in his classic appearance. The head sculpt is really good, just like how all the recent Hasbro figures has been. You can really see the improvement in the head sculpt and the facial paintwork over the years. The paintwork on the new head looks so much more realistic, and I really like it that the recent figures has a separate hair sculpt which is glued on the head, because that prevents paint bleed from the hair to the head. This lighter blue part is sculpted, not painted, which is great, and you can see all the creases on his costume. He has those black color circles on the top part of the gloves, and the legs are just plain black. I don't know why, but they've made the figure such that they glue the cape to the chest over here. So there's no way you can remove the cape. There's no pack or anything at the back, but it is glued over here at the Eye of Agamotto, glued to the chest. The cape is exactly the same as the one from the Dormammu wave. It has the same sculpted lines along the edges of the cape, but gold definitely looks better than yellow. But the quality of the paintwork on the new cape is really not good. I mean, look at this. This is quite bad. And also along the edges, it isn't sharp at all. You can see the yellow bleeding into the red. Same goes for the other side. This one doesn't look so bad, but you can see the yellow bleeding into the red area. And here's the bottom. The eye of Agamotto is also not painted, unlike the Dormammu wave. Look at that. And look at this. So in terms of paintwork, the figure itself is quite decent, but the paintwork on the cape is kind of a letdown. And for articulation, pretty much the same except for the arms. The previous Doctor Strange figures has the bicep swivel and double hinge elbow joints, but for the new one, it doesn't have any bicep swivel or bicep cut, and it has a single hinge elbow joint. So the figure is able to bring up the hand this much. I don't know if we can go any higher because the cape would restrict it anyways. And able to bend this much and rotate. Ab crunches forward this much and to the back. Waist swivel. And the cloth over here has a slit. It is strange, however, that they didn't make a slit on the other side. Only on one side. It doesn't really restrict the leg articulation. He can kind of maximize his split if you need him to. And this much to the front. And just the same standard articulation at the leg. Thigh swivel, double hinge, knee joint, calf swivel, and ankle hinge and pivot. He is still able to kind of pull off this floating cross-legged pose, despite having no slit at one side of the tunic. Here's how he looks like with the blue head. I think the neck area and also the gloves should have been blue as well. And here's how the figures would look like with a head swap. Doesn't really look that great. Somehow the heads just look better on their own bodies. The figure has the normal ball hinge joint, unlike some of the other recent figures which has the separate neck which is able to rotate within the collar. But yeah, this one has a normal ball hinge joint for the neck. And here's the classic Toybiz classic Doctor Strange. Mine is in really bad condition. You can see the yellow paint blotches on the cape and also on the inner side actually. You can see the difference in height. And the Toybiz cape is really rubbery and not solid and stiff like the Hasbro version. The cape is separated into 4 parts. Here's the centerpiece, one side, the other side, and the top part over here. And this top part has a yellow paintwork at the back of the head area. There is an attempt of some sculpt along the edges, but it's not as obvious as the Hasbro version, probably because of the material that is done on. Yeah, and look at mine. Like I said, the paint blotches is really bad. Really bad condition for this one. But the paintwork is more vibrant. You can see this is a much brighter blue compared to the Hasbro version. Here's the figure without the cape. The gloves looks much longer and therefore has more black circles compared to the Hasbro version. For the Hasbro version also, there isn't any black circles on the hands itself, but this one does. The amount of sculpted creases on the Toybiz version is also much more than the Hasbro Doctor Strange. The moustache is also done differently. I'm definitely getting rid of my Toybiz Doctor Strange. I think it's really awesome that we've gotten these 4 Hasbro Doctor Strange figures. Although the one from the Hulkbuster wave is kind of not needed because the one from Dormammu can actually pass off as the Doctor Strange that wasn't Sorcerer Supreme, because you can just simply remove the cape and he looks, kind of very similar to the one from the Hulkbuster wave. The Astral Doctor Strange is an awesome figure, but definitely hard to come by because the Vishanti box set is really expensive. And the new classic Doctor Strange is definitely an upgrade over the Toybiz version. I think when I was streamlining in my other video, I said I was going to sell off some of the Hasbro Doctor Strange figures, but after doing this review, I think I'm going to keep all 4 of them. Or maybe just let go of the Hulkbuster Doctor Strange. It's also great that the new classic version has plenty of accessories compared to the previous figures. If it was you, would you keep all 4 of them or just keep the classic Strange? Do share in the comments. Thanks for watching. Do check out my other reviews at my channel.